New COVID variant Omicron. In the last week, a heavily mutated COVID variant named Omicron was identified and quickly labeled a variant of concern by the World Health Organization. It has been discovered in a number of countries, including the United Kingdom. It's a fast-changing situation. Omicron's genetic profile has raised concerns, but due to a lack of real-world data, no one knows the full extent of what it is capable of. It is unclear how serious of a threat it is. It's like you or I deciding whether or not to marry someone after just one date. The only difference is that the stakes are much higher. What we do know is that Omicron has mutations that allow it to spread more quickly, and there is mounting evidence that this is happening in South Africa. It also contains mutations that, in theory, make vaccines less effective, and the World Health Organization reports a higher risk of reinfection than other variants. But we don't know how contagious it is. We're not sure if it's milder or more severe. We don't know what will happen when it comes up against our significant wall of immunity built up this autumn through vaccines, boosters, and high levels of COVID this autumn. The government's response is to test everyone coming into the UK, isolate all Omicron contacts, ramp up boosting, and bring back compulsory face masks in some public places. Let's be clear, that will not stop more Omicron cases arriving or circulating. It's already arrived. If a virus is good at spreading, then eventually it will slip through. And it has the potential to spread here too. Cases of COVID have been climbing, except for a lull over the October half-term. They are averaging at more than 40,000 a day, and the R number, the average number of people each infected person passes the virus onto, is just above the crucial threshold of 1, which means cases are growing. The government has been focusing on the pressure on hospitals, which would have been a key factor in deciding whether to tighten restrictions or go for Plan B prior to Omicron. Despite the increase in cases, the number of people needing hospital care for COVID has been declining due to the success of booster vaccines. However, if the current Delta variant can spread here and Omicron combines faster transmission with some immunity evasion, it has the potential to circulate as well. The only thing the measures can do is buy time, but for what? Boosters and science. There are important scientific questions that must be answered, and at the top of the list is what happens when Omicron comes into contact with high levels of immunity. For better or worse, the answer will determine what happens next. The vaccines used in the UK train the body to attack the virus's spike protein, specifically the version of spike from the original variant from Wuhan, China. Our immune system learns to attack several parts of that spike. The antibodies in our blood are like a pit crew descending on a Formula One car, each going to their target area. But the mutations in Omicron are like changing some parts of the car to bamboozle the mechanics and make their job harder. Any dent to immunity is most likely to affect the odds of you catching COVID. What we've seen from the phenomenon of waning immunity is that protection against severe disease and death is more resilient. It will take time to know for sure. It may sound strange, but booster doses may limit the impact. In theory, a less effective immune defense can be compensated for by simply throwing more antibodies and T cells at the problem, even if they are imperfect. More than 17 million people have already received a third dose, and the government intends to increase the number. Other countries have reduced the interval between the second and third doses from 6 to 5 months, and we should hear from the government's vaccine advisors soon. Vaccines could be updated to match the Omicron variant in around 100 days, according to pharmaceutical companies. It is worth noting that we now have new weapons in the form of antiviral drugs in our arsenal. Paxlovid and molnupiravir both target the virus's inner workings, and experts have told me that the mutations seen so far have no effect on their effectiveness. There is also a desire to learn how sick people are as a result of Omicron. It is a common misconception that as a virus mutates, it becomes milder. The reality is far more complicated, and finding an answer will take time. Because the country with the most confirmed cases, South Africa, has a relatively young population. The younger you are, the gentler COVID is. There are already cries that the government is both overreacting and not going far enough. The problem for all of us is we'll only know the right answer with hindsight. So, guys, don't forget to be cautious when going out. Stay safe, bye.